Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Steaks with Mates podcast. My name is Health Coach Joff, and today our special guest is Dr. Avi Charlton. Now, Avi, I met her in person in the Carnivore Live event, which happened about a month ago on April, May. When was it? End of April. And it was an amazing event, and I think she's got a wealth of knowledge with her background. So she's a GP of 20 years experience with a special interest in metabolic health. She's also running a podcast called Prescribing Lifestyle, founder of the Melbourne Low Carb Clinic. And I would love to hear your story. And also, if you'd like to share things that you've learned along the way through your experiences being a GP. So welcome aboard, and thank you so much for taking your time in your busy lifestyle to squeeze this chat in.
Yeah, hi, Joel. Thank you very much for having me and inviting me to your podcast, Meat with Mates. I certainly love eating meat, so I've got a steak in the fridge.
Yes. Take us back through a point in time where I guess your journey started as a GP and what you have experienced throughout your years. 20 years, that's a long time. And
Yeah,
when did you sort of come into this interest of metabolic health?
yeah. I've been a GP for 20 years. In fact, I graduated about 25 years ago and practiced as a GP for just over 20 years. But I've been just a usual GP. I would see coughs and colds, prescribe medications for blood pressure, diabetes, and not really looking into the root cause of diseases. I'm keen to help people and keen to make a difference back then. But it was one day, maybe about 8 or 9 years ago. I was just a normal GP. I would treat patients, and one day a patient came in for prescriptions, and she just commented, "Oh, are you having a third child? Are you expecting a baby?" And it was no, I wasn't having another baby. I had two kids already. I had two young children, two boys, and they were leaving me very tired, and I was busy, and I was letting my health go. So I might have been a little bit chubby and a bit overweight. And I'm Asian, so I'm Chinese and very small built. So a little bit of fat on me would show up as quite dramatic. So I didn't want to be a fat doctor. I was surprised that she made a comment and actually quite offended. So I was determined to make a difference. And I looked around in my local area and joined the local gym. So I just decided, oh, okay, I'll exercise a bit more and I want to lose some weight. After working out for about 3 months, 3 times a week, doing some gym classes, lifting weights, after 3 months, nothing happened. I didn't lose any weight. So the trainer suggested that I do an 8-week body transformation challenge. And okay, I thought that was good fun. Let's give it a go. So I signed up to this 8-week body transformation challenge. The trainer would give me a spreadsheet of what foods to eat. I had to put the foods on the scale. I had to put 120 grams of protein, 20 grams of fat, and 20 grams of carbs onto the scale on the plate and weigh every single meal. And after 8 weeks, I won the challenge. I lost 4% body fat, 4 kilos of weight. It doesn't seem like a lot to a lot of people, but for a small, petite, short
Huge.
Chinese woman, 4 kilos is actually quite a lot. So I had a flatter stomach, I lost some belly fat, and it was quite obvious on some before and after photos. And I was intrigued and wanted to learn about how this happens and how I can help my patients. So it was a low carb ketogenic diet that my trainer had got me on with his spreadsheet. So I kept learning and I went to low carb down under lectures
Yeah.
education day for doctors. That was back in 2019. And then 2020 COVID hit and I had extra time because there wasn't anything else to do. I still went to the clinic, but patients stopped coming in. So I signed up to courses by Nutrition Network and listened to lots of podcasts and audio books. And I deep dived into how this works, how we can burn fat, and how our body works in our metabolic health. So I've learned heaps, and this journey has been amazing. I've learned how the body works and how the hormone works in our body, how insulin is the culprit of storing all the fat, and how we can learn to lower insulin and work on our carbohydrate tolerance. Because most people can't eat so much carbs because unless you go running 10 kilometers after your meal, all the glucose and the carbs are just going to store it as fat. So it's been an amazing journey, and I've learned heaps. About 2.5 years ago, I woke up one morning and I told my husband that I'm going to set up my own low carb clinic. So I've called my low carb clinic Melbourne Low Carb Clinic, and after working on this clinic for 2.5 years, I'm now in 3 locations across 3 different areas of Melbourne. And I give patients long consultations, 45 minutes, rather than the usual in and out GP 10-minute consultations. Patients do have to pay, and if they pay, quite often they do better because they've invested not just the time but also money, and they are much more motivated to make changes. And I've been very rewarded with great patient stories of how they've lost weight, improved their health, feeling better, more energy, and even reversing chronic conditions such as diabetes. Then we took off some medications, we reduced the insulin, got off some diabetes drugs, and they feel amazing because they don't need to take as many tablets, and they manage to function better. So yeah, that's my journey in a nutshell.
Wow, I am inspired because it's I've been in health. I've been working in healthcare for since 2009, and
Okay, yeah.
it's very rare that I come across a GP or a doctor really that focuses on lifestyle and actually gets people off medications. I maybe know one or two in person, but it is such a refreshing thing to hear from
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
like yourself. So I'm so inspired right now just
Oh,
by
thank
hearing you
you.
say that. Um, and take us through, I guess, the process of how you felt in that challenge. Was it difficult? You said you came from an Asian background, so
Mm,
I know because I'm also from an Asian background, and
yeah,
rice is a huge part of the diet. So
yeah.
it was something that I found difficult giving up. How was it for you? Did you experience any of those challenges in terms of the I guess the cultural attachment you had with food?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It is hard. Doing this lifestyle is absolutely hard, but if you don't do hard things, there's nothing going to change. So I am certainly attached to rice and noodles and all the Chinese food that is comforting, and I grew up with
Mm.
it. And I remember back in my 30s, I went traveling, went to Europe, and I didn't have rice, and I was missing it. But I didn't understand what rice was doing back in my early 30s. But now in my 40s and I'm almost 50, I haven't had much rice at all for the last 5 years. It is hard, and I just don't feel like it's helpful to my metabolic health. I think the important thing is understanding all the rice is becoming glucose, and it just spikes
Yes.
glucose, and understanding the science, just giving me much more information on how the body works. And surely I miss it and I would love to eat it. But if it's not helpful to my journey and my health, then better off without it.
Yes. Yes. I've coached a lot of clients who are of Asian descent,
Mm,
and that has been one of the biggest challenges that we've had to navigate through. Obviously, that is something that you've eaten for your whole life, and now you're being
yeah.
told that it's bad for you, or you shouldn't,
Mm,
and then you start to explain the actual science behind it. Even as simple as carbs. When you ingest it, it becomes glucose. Um,
mm,
that is very that message is very hard for someone to understand, especially if you have been so used to eating this way for so long. But
mm,
I kid you not, when you know I get my clients off rice even just for a week, the
mm-hmm.
immediate response is, I feel so much better. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's amazing. Just a small quick change in diet can make you feel a lot better than you were. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I still do. I would cook stir fry beef and stir fried
yeah,
chicken, minced beef. But my children like rice, so they have a bit of rice. And
me too.
but I, I have a couple of fried eggs with my stir fried beef,
Yes.
and I think that just makes it a little bit more protein, a bit more healthy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's no carbs there. So I'm quite
Yeah.
happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that's cool. And through your own experience, going through a personal journey of weight loss and also improvement in metabolic health,
Hmm.
did you reflect back into your training at any time to think, when did, or basically what I'm trying to say is, did you ever experience any of this, the knowledge that you've learned now during your training as a doctor?
Yeah, no, not at all. I think we did have some lectures on nutrition, but
Mm.
I honestly can't really remember. It might have been one day or could be an hour or two. I remember I was trying to learn what polyunsaturated fat and saturated fat and trying to know the difference. And I honestly can't remember what they taught us. And it is about 25 years ago, but
Mm.
we were never taught about metabolic health, insulin resistance, and the criteria for it. And I've mostly learned all this in the last 5 or 6 years,
Mm.
having been a doctor for 25 years and gone through medical school, which was 6 years. So it could have been 30 years that I've been in this medical field and not knowing much about
Mm.
nutrition. And now, having practiced in this field, it's all linked. Everything is linked. Like, even a lot of the chronic illnesses are all linked to our lifestyle, about what we eat, about what we do, even about movement, sunlight exposure. There's so many things that we're doing
Mm.
right now that are contributing to chronic illnesses, and we can reverse it. We can stop ourselves from progressing into chronic illnesses like heart disease or cancer or even Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah. Mm. Absolutely. But do you think now that or as a I guess as an opinion, do you think that doctors should be trained earlier on in their formative years of developing their knowledge and experience a little bit more about nutrition and lifestyle? You're right, yeah, lifestyle.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. I think all of us should be trained on preventative healthcare. We should
Mm.
be treating to to learn all this rather than disease care. We should be doing health care, maintaining health rather than treating diseases and illnesses. And there's a few of us in the low carb space, in the low carb doctors, that's trying to talk to medical schools to try and advocate more education on nutrition and metabolic health and lifestyle. And I've done a talk or two to medical students to try and help them understand what I have learned in the last few years. They're certainly keen to learn, but
Yeah.
incorporating into the medical curriculum could be quite difficult.
Yeah, I agree. And now I do work with a lot of young doctors as well, and I love getting into conversations about nutrition and lifestyle. You know, talking about the keto diet and just talking about ketones in general. It's like it opens up a huge conversation, because I remember one time I had a friend ask me, aren't you gonna die because ketones, like, that's bad for you? And I thought, look, and went into conversation and actually explained it, and you're right, everyone needs to know this, not just doctors. I think everyone has the opportunity and the ability to actually understand this, because it doesn't have to be broken down into huge scientific jargon. It can be really simplified, I think, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've written blogs, I've done podcasts trying to explain the difference between ketoacidosis and
Yes.
ketosis.
Yes.
So there's totally different things, different metabolic states. Our body is functioning totally differently. When you're in ketosis, it's actually a normal metabolic state. We're burning our own fat. Our acid base is in balance. We're not in high glucose. And our body is functioning optimally if you're in ketosis. And most people won't go into ketoacidosis unless you're a type 1 diabetic with very high
Yes.
blood sugar and you've got acidosis, which means that you have lots of acid in your body and your pH is very low. And that is a medical emergency, but most of the
Yes.
time it happens in type 1 diabetics or if you're on certain medications. So I wasn't taught as a medical student on what the difference between ketosis and ketoacidosis. But again, I explained it in a couple of minutes. It doesn't have to be hard. It's very easy. I've written blogs on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, because I think if there's curiosity there, people will really want to learn more about it. And medical students, in my experience, they soak up everything. So I think it's very good to have information that is easily digestible for everyone, not just medical students. So take us through the process of how it works when people come into your clinic. Do people generally come in with intentions to lose weight, or what makes someone decide, I'm going to go to Melbourne Low Carb Clinic?
Yeah. There's generally two groups of patients. As you said, there's a group of patients that want to lose weight. They want to try low carb. Some of them have tried already, but they're hard to stay consistent. And they want someone to guide them on how to do low carb and keep them accountable, keep track, and tell them how much carbs to eat, how much protein, and how much fat, and do some testing or blood tests to help them, guide them through doing low carb. So those people are quite motivated because they know that I'm going to talk about low carb. And quite often they do get good results. I've had a lady recently who lost about 20 kilos over 6 months. I
Wow.
know. And all her blood tests improve, including the cholesterol profile and reducing insulin. So those people are really motivated. They could get good results, and really a joy to help these people. And then there's the other group of people that come to see me because they've done all the work, they've lost all the weight, they've gone from normal diet to low carb or keto or even carnivore. But those people haven't been supported by the usual doctor. They might have got a high cholesterol and they want to see me for a second opinion. They might have got some medical conditions that they want to get off their medication and the doctor isn't supporting them. So those people, I don't need to convert them about the benefits of low carb or keto. They've done the work and they've done all the research. Some of them know much more than me. And it's just that their doctor hasn't been helpful. So I'm there to support them for a second opinion. And those people are great to work with as well because they respect what I do and we're in line with what we teach. So I'm just there to give them my opinion on their blood tests, whether a cholesterol tablet might be useful or not, and give them the information to empower them so that they can make their own decision whether they take the medication or not take.
Love it.
So that's generally what I do in the Melbourne Low Carb Clinic. And it's been really rewarding.
I love it. I love that last part you said. It's about empowering people. And I think that's what, that's the message that I also try to promote as well. It's not about being told that you have to do this for your health. It's actually about you being empowered to have that decision. And you know, that is I think what's most important, and what is actually missing in today's modern world is that empowerment to act on your own decisions, to say, I'm going to do this for me. And so in your clinic, is it just GPs, or do you have others in practice as well?
I'm still working out of a normal GP clinic, so that's
okay.
I still see coughs and colds. But
Okay.
in the special interest clinic, the Melbourne Low Carb Clinic, it's just myself. I've
Okay.
incorporated I've got a health coach, and she's a nutritionist as well. She's called Carla V. Carter, and we've collaborated to work on a package called Metabolic Makeover Program that I provide 2 consultations and she provides 4, and we package it into a program that costs $999 with the value of $1,400. So that's what we've done. So I can call her as part of Melbourne Low Carb Clinic. So she can support patients with mindset and the psychology and
Yes.
accountability. So that's how Melbourne Low Carb Clinic. It's just the one of me and the 2 and with the Carla as an extra.
That is so cool because it seems so, for a lot of people this is going to be out of the ordinary. It's like, what is a coach? What is a GP that doesn't focus on medications? This is like a little bit fringe if you think about it. But if you really look into this, guys and girls, whoever are watching, yes, you're investing money on a program that doesn't involve your conventional way of treatments and interventions and assessments. But the thing is, just from our own experiences, we're seeing people reverse. That is the key word here: reverse chronic conditions like diabetes, losing weight and sustaining it. It's something that personally I've never seen in my own practice as a nurse. I've never seen anyone gotten off medications successfully, but it seems like from what you're seeing, people are doing that. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I certainly still embrace medications
yeah,
and in certain situations patients would still benefit from prescribing medications.
yeah,
But it's not one or the other. It's one and the other. It's both. And in some situations, medications will be beneficial, and in some
yeah.
medications they don't need anymore. So
That
it's
is
everyone
amazing.
I think so. I think it's much more rewarding than what I used to do for 15 years of my career.
Yes, absolutely. Now, let's talk about you're also you've got special interest in functional breath work. Can you explain a little bit more
Mm,
about that?
yeah. Along the journey, I've looked into other lifestyle things. Like I also consider exercise, movement, and sleep and stress management. I also look into all of those. So
Yes.
along the journey, I listened to about breathing, about how we breathe and how a lot of us don't breathe properly. And in the last 2 years, I've read a couple of books and gone into doing a couple of courses on functional breathing. So I looked into Oxygen Advantage by Patrick McKeown, and
Mm.
I looked into the Breathless Academy with Johannes Egberts. So I did those two courses, and I've credited myself as a functional breathing coach and a breathwork facilitator. This has been another amazing journey of diving into functional breathing
Mm.
because so many of us don't pay attention to our breathing because we just go on our way and we're just busy, too many things to
Mm.
do. But paying attention to breathing and breathing through the nose is essential because a lot of people they don't pay attention to nose or mouth breathing, and if you're mouth breathing, it's
No.
just not efficient. And breathing into the
Okay.
diaphragm is also important. And learning to slow down our breathing can help with many things, including stress management, improving anxiety, even working on our parasympathetic nervous system as opposed to the sympathetic nervous system. And that can help us with managing stress and anxiety and balancing out all the busy things that our lifestyle takes us. So I help people with one-on-one breathing coaching on how to teach them to do functional breathing, breathing better, slower, paying more attention, mindfulness. And I also do talks on breathing and I run breathwork workshops and guiding them to do breathwork, guided breathwork. So
In
yeah, that's
person? In person?
yeah, breathwork workshops in person. Yeah.
Oh,
I've
awesome.
run Yeah, since November last year, I've run two two breathwork workshops, and I've been invited to a retreat for a breathwork facilitating before they went to sleep. So they went on a retreat, and I helped with them with a before sleep breathwork. There's another one coming up in June, which is about 30 minutes away from me in Caulfield in Melbourne, that I'm hosting a breathwork workshop on just teaching people how to breathe better and guiding them on a guided breathwork journey.
Hmm.
So that's another amazing journey that I've found that is very rewarding, helping people with just natural things that they can do. I myself do breathwork most mornings, first thing in the morning. If I don't have time, I do it for 10 minutes. If I have time on a weekend, I do it for 30 minutes. And sometimes I go to breathwork classes myself, which the class runs about an hour. It's a bit like your gym class or yoga class. You lie down, do a class, get out of there feeling amazing. And that's just part of self-care routine that I do for myself.
Love it. I've actually started to look into breath work a little bit because it wasn't on my radar until quite recently. And
Mm.
yeah, I'm genuinely intrigued about implementing it in my day to day life. So I guess what would or who should be doing breath work? Who should be like is there a particular group of people that uh, you are targeting, or I guess not targeting, but are there a particular group of people that would need breath work, or is this just
Yeah,
for general?
yeah. I think everyone can benefit from breath work, even with or without any medical conditions.
Mm-hmm.
But especially those who suffers from stress and anxiety, doing breath work can
Okay.
slow the mind down and help them to control their nervous system so they can calm themselves down when they're stressed and anxious. But also those people who don't breathe properly. And what I mean is people with asthma, they might be mouth
Yes.
breathing.
Mm.
Those people who have snoring, those
Okay.
they can help by learning to breathe better, and they might stop snoring. And some people who breathe too much, they hyperventilate. They might get nightmares, and they might not sleep well, and they might be mouth breathing at night. Those people with a bit of coaching and guided breath work and helping them teach them about the science of breathing.
Mm.
Even if they just pay attention to their breathing and nose breathe most of the day, that can give them a bit of benefit and help them to realize that it's so important.
But what happens if you? This might sound like a stupid question, but what? Let's say you got a blocked nose or a stuffy nose. Could you still, somehow? Is there other ways to work around that if you want to do breath work exercises?
Yeah. Let's say you've got a cold,
Yeah.
then you happen to have blocked nose. You can do nose unblocking exercise, and people can
Oh,
Google nose unblocking exercise or look up YouTube.
yes.
What
Yeah.
you do is you pinch your nose and block your nose and hold your breath for as long as you can, and you sway side to side, not talking, not breathing, holding, pinching your nose,
Okay.
and you hold for as long as you can, and then afterwards you let go of your pinching of your nose and breathe through your nose. You might need to repeat this 5 or 6 times each time, but
Mm-hmm.
you'll find that if you hold your breath, hold your nose, and then breathe through your nose after, you might feel a bit clearer. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
just for 5 minutes or something. You might have to repeat this. But that's a nose unblocking exercise, because what happens is there's the gases in your nose that builds up called nitric
Mm-hmm.
oxide and carbon dioxide. And if you hold your breath, those gases will build up for the, let's say, half a minute that you're pinching your nose and holding your breath. Those gases actually vasodilate, open up your blood vessels, opens up your airways, and give you a bit of relief for, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And if you do it a few times, then that helps.
Yeah.
Some people with sinus blockage, or they say they can't breathe through the nose, the more they practice this exercise and breathing through the nose, they're more likely to open up and improving on their sinus symptoms and blocked nose and
Mm.
even hay fever allergies. So, oh, you've got allergies?
Oh, terrible. I have actually it actually gone away for quite some time since going carnivore. But
Mm,
over the last few months, or no, sorry, not few weeks, it's just
mm.
come back all of a sudden. And I don't know if it still sounds snuffly now, but I've had terrible hay fever over the last few days. And now I
Yeah.
think it's clearing up. Yeah, yeah. So that's why
Mm.
I think that's what piqued my interest this week as well. I was just looking at breathwork exercises, and I thought, oh man, I really ought to look into this. Mm,
Yeah. Just pay attention to nose breathing all the time, even at
yeah.
night if you can do nose breathing. So, how you do that is you might want to consider taping your mouth. Have you
Oh,
heard of that,
okay.
Joe?
I have. Yes, yes, I have.
So, you just get some micropore tape, which you probably can get from work or
Yeah, from
something.
work. Yeah. Shh,
And
don't tell
you,
them.
yeah, don't tell. Or even it's only a few dollars from the chemist.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, get some micropore tape and tape your mouth. You might last 2 hours the first night, maybe 4 hours the second night. Give yourself a week to get used to it. If you
Yes.
don't last the whole night, that's fine. And
Mm,
after
mm,
a week of taping mouth, you might not feel there's a tape there anymore because you're used to it. And then
mm.
you are assisting your body to learn to nose breathe. day and
Okay.
night, and even doing exercise. So if you go for a walk or go for a run, if you practice nose breathing, then those things will help with aerobic capacity and teaching your body to burn your fat as a fuel, and improving exercise tolerance as well.
Interesting. Interesting. I'll look into
Mm.
that. Yeah, I used to do the nasal bridges. I think they put the tape on the nose and it opens up,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
nostrils.
There's nasal
So
dilators.
yeah, I used to. Well, I was never diagnosed with sleep apnea, but that was actually my prompt to go low carb. Was I woke up one day
Mm.
and my wife was like, "Oh my gosh, you almost, I think you stopped breathing for like a
Yeah.
couple of minutes." And so, yeah, that's when I started using the nasal bridges. But
Mm.
thankfully, I've not had that problem for a very long time. But yeah, definitely the hay fever it's kicked in
Mm.
recently. Looking into, I guess, this whole concept of prescribing lifestyle. You've got
Mm.
a um a book coming out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you've also got it as a name for your podcast. What
That's right.
is Can you explain a little bit more about this concept about prescribing lifestyle? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, yeah. So I think most people are used to doctors prescribing medications. I'm just changing the paradigm to prescribing lifestyle. I'm hoping patients would see it that a doctor prescribed them something. Because it's a doctor prescription, then they'll stick to it. Because it's a therapy. Because
Mm,
if you have your GP prescribing you with a blood pressure tablet, you're quite adherent to it. You know it's a
mm,
prescription, then you're adhering to your blood pressure tablet. I'm prescribing a healthy lifestyle like nutrition, exercise, and sleep prioritization, stress management. It's a doctor's prescription that helps you with your health. And if people think it as a prescription, then they feel that it's much more necessary. So that's why I've named my podcast as Prescribing Lifestyle. And this podcast, I invite other practitioners who have similar values and some people who has gone into this lifestyle and had rewarding results. So I've got about 90, almost 100 episodes starting from
wow,
last year, May. Yeah. So my journey is
awesome.
just over a year of a podcast host. And this book that I've just about to finish writing, and actually just about to finish editing this book, is coming up in September 2025. And I'm hoping that it's a guide to help people to look into the lifestyle. Again, the lifestyle pillars that I talk about: nutrition, movement, stress management, sleep, and community. And I talk about addictions. Then people can see it as a prescription and keep diving. It's not, the book isn't a forever happy everly after book that you just read it and then you know everything. It's a guide to open you up to keep learning, dig into the rabbit hole, and learn from other practitioners. Each section of the book, I've guided people where they can keep learning on each topic, and I'm hoping people can be curious and keep learning into each topics that I talk about in the book.
Awesome. And um well, it's not out yet, but where can people, I guess, be notified when this book comes out? Do you have a particular social media platform that you use to, announce these things, or is it just across all boards?
Yeah, yeah. Across all my social media, which is on Facebook, I'm Dr. Charlton Lifestyle GP. On Instagram, it's the same, Dr. Charlton Lifestyle GP. People can also follow me on LinkedIn, just Dr. Avi Charlton. And I've got a YouTube channel. It's Dr. Avi Charlton as well. And the Prescribing Lifestyle podcast. And I am selling the book already because that is the exercise that I followed on the book writing coach. I like to
Yes.
follow a program.
Awesome.
So the program was book writing, ultimate 48-hour author on the author training program. So I signed up to this author training. So I've pre-launched a book already, and I've sold about 70 copies of this book. People can find the link to purchase on my website. The website is Melbourne Low Carb Clinic. The link is www.mlcclinic.com.au. So you can purchase for $24.95, which is a little bit cheaper on the pre-purchase. And the aim is to be launching with physical copies by September. And there'll be
Wow.
Amazon copies as well. And I'm hoping as my 50th birthday present, because I'm turning 50 in September.
I'm gonna say you do not look like it. Definitely do not. No, no, it must be the lifestyle that you're living.
I'm almost 50, getting there.
Getting there. Well, that is awesome, and I will link all those in the show notes when I post this on air and
Great.
for people to watch. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about a question that I ask all my guests. Who are your top 3 people who have influenced you, whether that be social media or just people in general, in this journey of yours? Who, just give us top 3.
Okay, so top 3 people that has influenced my journey. Number 1 would be Peter Bruckner. So
Yes.
he's the author of A Fat Lot of Good, and I've
Yes.
connected with him, and I was so happy to be invited to his house for dinner last week.
Oh,
And yeah. So if you check out Peter Bruckner, he's the founder of Defeat
defeat
Diabetes
diabetes.
and
Yep.
Sugar by Half.
Mm.
So he's probably the grandfather of low carb in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I love his book, his work, and connecting with him. Another influencer that I follow is probably Dr. Gary Fettke.
Yes.
He's a Tasmanian orthopedic surgeon,
Yes.
and he got into trouble with APRA. And he's been reported, but he's not afraid, and he keeps advocating low carb lifestyle. So I love his talk, and I've listened to quite a few of his talks. You can find him on YouTube, and he was on the Regenerate
Regenerate. Yes.
conference a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was helped by him when I got into trouble with APRA. So I contacted him, and he helped me look through. He counseled me on the phone for half an hour from Tasmania, helping
Wow.
me. Yeah, so people can go on my podcast if you want to check out what APRA journey that I had at the end of last year. So Peter Bruckner, Gary Fettke, and maybe Rod Taylor. Rod Taylor is the founder of Low Carb Down Under.
Yes.
And I signed up to the Low Carb Down Under course for doctors in 2019. He was the organizer. And in
Mm-hmm.
fact, he's founded Low Carb Down Under for just over 10 years. There's
Yes. Yeah.
so many YouTube videos that is accumulated for the last 10 years that everyone can go through. YouTube, Low Carb Down Under channel. And again, he's invited me to his house a couple of times. And
Oh, look at these invites.
yes, for dinner. And I did a talk in the Gold Coast Low Carb Down Under conference, maybe could be 3 or 4 years ago. Well, 2 years ago, actually. And
Amazing.
so those 3 are the top 3 people that's influenced my journey. They're all Australian, but there are
Oh, I
overseas
know.
people that I follow as well. So yeah, it's been
Yeah.
an amazing journey.
Yes. I know top 3 is a bit hard. I and people always complain. Can you like make it a top 5 or something like that? Like it's
Yeah,
too hard to
yeah,
condense. But
it
nah.
is.
No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Actually, speaking of low carb down under, that was what got me into low carb, and I think it's what attracted a lot of Aussies into the low carb space because it's there was, it's actually globally known. I didn't know this. I thought that it was just an Aussie thing that people really, it's a bunch of Aussies. But I learned not recently, probably about a year ago, that it's worldwide. Everyone knows it. So it's a great platform, and I think it's awesome to see more people refer to it when they say, "Oh yeah, I watched that from Low Carb Down Under." I like to just have a segment here where we acknowledge the people that have impacted our journeys, and so shout out to your top 3. Now, I just want to say, Avi, thank you so much for your time and for being a guest on my podcast, Steaks with Mates. Is there a final message you'd like to give the viewers? Maybe some words of advice?
Yeah. Thank you, Joff. Thank you for inviting me to this lovely podcast. My final message would be for all the listeners to be staying curious. Be curious about your own health, about how your body is functioning. You've got to find out what works best for you and be curious about the different sciences, different journeys people share, and all the information out there. We're actually living in a world where information is much easier to get rather than 20 years ago when we didn't have the internet or YouTube or podcasts. So there's so much information out there. Be curious on filtering out what's good for you, what's not so good, and keep learning.
Awesome. I love it. Well, again, thank you all for watching. Please support Avi and myself by following us on social media and liking this video on YouTube. Now, I will be also just making a quick announcement that this podcast will be going on other platforms too. I've had other people ask me about, when are you going to actually put this on a podcast, app, like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I will do that. So watch this space. It will get there. But otherwise, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all in the next episode. See you.
Thank you, Joe.